I was invited to a family brunch, but my seat was gone. "Oh, we didn't know you were still coming," my sister-in-law said. "We assumed you'd be too busy crying over your miscarriage." I sat in my husband's car, hands shaking. He just said, "Don't make a scene." That night, I sent every text message, every voicemail, every cruel word they ever said, to their pastor, their employers, and every contact in their group chat. Then I turned off my phone. The silence after was beautiful. I've been married to my husband, Trevor, for 8 years. We live in Springfield, Missouri. I've known his family since we were in college. They never made it easy for me, but I tried. I tried hard for a long time. His family has money. Old church people. Country club types. Real polished on the outside. Real nasty when you look closer. I'm not from that world. My parents ran a hardware store. I paid my way through school waiting tables. I always felt like an outsider with them, like they were just tolerating me. But Trevor said they'd come around. And I believed him. I did everything I could to fit in. I hosted Christmas once, made everything from scratch. No one said thank you. I wore the cardigans and long skirts his mom liked. I never swore in front of them. I went to every brunch, every fundraiser, every Sunday church lunch, even when I was exhausted or sick. And then I lost our baby. It was my second miscarriage. The first was 3 years ago. This one was worse. It happened at 11 weeks. I had already started telling people. I had the ultrasound photo on the fridge. I had picked names. The night it happened, I was home alone. Trevor was at a work dinner. I called him, crying, and he didn't come home for 2 more hours. Said he was mid-conversation with a client. I bled all night. I held that tiny shape in my hand in the bathroom alone. I didn't even go to the ER. I couldn't bring myself to. The next morning, I told his family. I sent a message in the group chat. I didn't get a single reply. Not one. For weeks, there was nothing. No flowers. No card. No visit. No call. I thought maybe they were just giving me space. But then I saw Ashley, his sister, post pictures on Facebook of a family game night. Everyone was there. Laughing. Eating pie. I wasn't even invited. Trevor told me I was reading too much into it. Then came the brunch. It was early October. Trevor said his mom had asked if we were coming. He said they missed me. He told me it would be good for me to be around people again. I didn't want to go, but I went anyway, because I was still trying. I put on that dumb floral dress his mom once said was church appropriate. I did my hair. I put on makeup even though my eyes were still red and puffy from crying the night before. I held myself together the whole drive there. When we got to the house, I saw right away that something was off. There were too many cars. I figured maybe someone had friends over too, or they forgot to tell me it was a bigger thing. We walked in and the smell hit me: bacon, cinnamon rolls, fried potatoes. Same spread as always. But the table was full. I mean full. Every single seat taken. Even the kids' card table in the corner had a full group. Nobody said anything when we came in. A few people waved, like I was just someone they hadn't seen in a while, not the woman who had lost her baby 6 weeks ago. Trevor walked off to grab a drink. Left me standing there. That's when Ashley spotted me. She looked at me, gave this fake-ass smile, and said in this syrupy voice, "Oh, we didn't know you were still coming." I just stood there. She took a sip of her mimosa, cocked her head like she was confused, and said loud enough for everyone nearby to hear, "We assumed you'd be too busy crying over your miscarriage." People heard it. I know they did. I saw the way her cousin Mark looked away. I saw her mom pretend she didn't hear. No one said anything. I just turned and walked back out to the car. Trevor followed a few seconds later. I was already in the passenger seat, hands shaking. My teeth clenched so tight my jaw hurt. I wanted him to say something. Anything. To ask me if I was okay. To say what she did was wrong. But he got in, turned the engine, and said one sentence. "Don't make a scene." I didn't even answer. I didn't trust my mouth not to scream. We drove home in silence. I went upstairs and sat on the bed with my laptop. I didn't cry. I didn't say a word. But my brain had snapped into this strange kind of focus. I had something they didn't know I had. For years, I had saved things. Not on purpose at first, but I didn't delete messages. I had screenshots, voicemails, texts, photos. All the little moments where they showed who they really were. Ashley once called me trash with a college degree in a text she thought she deleted. She sent it to the wrong group. His mom told Trevor I was damaged goods for not being able to carry a child. He told me that during a fight last year. I never forgot it. I had screenshots from the family group chat where they joked about me, called me moody, said I was always faking sick. I had saved them all. So I opened a blank folder and started dragging in everything I had. It felt like building a fire. Ashley worked at a private Christian school as a counselor. I went to their website, found her principal's email. Trevor's mom sang in the church choir and ran the prayer newsletter. I sent the messages to the church board and the pastor. Even the cousins got copies. And the group chat? I dropped everything in there, one by one. Screenshot after screenshot. Every voice note. Every text. No warning. No explanation. Then I turned off my phone. I didn't look at anything for 3 full days. Not my email. Not my phone. Not even the news. I sat in the quiet, watched the leaves fall, made myself tea, and waited. Trevor slept on the couch the whole time. He tried knocking on the bedroom door the second night. I didn't answer. On the third day, I turned my phone back on. The silence was gone. Voicemails. Missed calls. Text after text. From Trevor. From Ashley. From his mom. From random cousins. A few from numbers I didn't know. Some begging. Some furious. Some trying to guilt me. I just stared at them. Then I powered it off again. I didn't talk to Trevor for a week. He stayed in the house, mostly on the couch. He stopped asking to come into the bedroom. I noticed his phone ringing constantly, especially in the evenings. He'd go outside to take the calls. I heard him pacing on the porch, whispering. Once I heard him say, "She went too far." That stuck with me. On the 8th day, he knocked on the door again. This time I opened it. He looked like hell, dark bags under his eyes, hair a mess, same shirt from yesterday. He stepped inside and just stood there. "You destroyed my sister's job," he said, like he was announcing the weather. I crossed my arms. She destroyed herself. He stared at me like he didn't recognize me anymore. They fired her. Said she violated the morality clause. She cried for 2 hours. My mom won't even talk to me now because she says I let this happen. I didn't feel sorry. Not even a little. She told me I should be busy crying over my miscarriage. I said, voice shaking now. "Did you tell them that?" That she said that in front of your entire family and no one stopped her. He didn't answer. Instead, he said something that made my blood run cold. "You need to fix this." I laughed, but it wasn't funny. It sounded harsh, like a bark. "No," I said, stepping back. "You don't get to ask me that. Not after you said, don't make a scene. Not after you let them treat me like I'm invisible. I buried our child. Alone. And you want me to fix them?" He rubbed his face and sat on the bed. "They're all turning on me," he mumbled. "Ashley's husband might lose his position at church. My mom's under investigation for misuse of the church fund after some of those texts went public. I don't even know how it spread that far." That was the twist I hadn't expected. Apparently, someone had forwarded the screenshots. Someone in the group chat I had messaged had shared them outside the family. And once that happened, it spread fast. Church gossip circles, community Facebook pages, even a parenting forum that Ashley used to moderate. It spiraled beyond anything I planned. People were talking. People were angry. Not at me, but at them. And now, Trevor was stuck in the middle. "They keep saying you're dangerous," he said, standing up again. "That you're unstable. That maybe you were never fit to be a mother." That word, never, hit me in the chest like a punch. He saw it. He saw my face change. And then he said, "I didn't say that. They did." I stepped toward him. But you repeated it, I whispered. You brought it into this house. That night, I packed a bag. Not because I was leaving him permanently, at least not yet, but because I needed distance. I needed silence again. Real silence. The kind I chose, not the kind I was shoved into by their cruelty. I went to a friend's place. My old college roommate, Holly, who lived in a small apartment near downtown. She didn't ask questions. She just made me tea, handed me a blanket, and let me sleep on her couch. The next day, I got a message from an unknown number. Thought you should know, your husband's been calling around trying to get people to clear the air on your behalf. Said you were emotional and didn't mean it. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I did something I didn't think I'd do. I logged back into the group chat. Trevor was in there. Still hadn't left. Still watching everything. So, I typed one sentence. Ask him who he really stands with. And then I logged out again. 2 days after I sent that message in the group chat, Holly answered her front door holding a thick envelope. It's for you, she said. No return address. I opened it on her kitchen table. Inside were printed screenshots, dozens of them. Not just from the group chat. From Trevor's phone. From his private messages. Things I had never seen before. There were messages between Trevor and his cousin Jenna from months ago. Him saying things like, she's obsessed with being a mom, it's getting unhealthy. Or, if she has another miscarriage, I don't know how I'll stay in this marriage. One message hit me like a train. It was dated 2 days after my last miscarriage. Jenna, is she even getting out of bed? Trevor, barely. She cries all day. I can't take it. I wish she'd just pull it together or leave. He told me I was overreacting. That I needed to heal. That he was trying to support me. He was telling them he wished I'd leave. There were other things, too. A picture of him at a bar with someone who wasn't me. An old photo, maybe, but he told me he was working late that night. A series of texts with his boss about getting a fresh start soon. Who sent me the envelope? There was one note, typed no name. You're not the only one they've done this to. Some of us kept quiet. Some of us regret it. But not anymore. I sat there in silence. I felt like my skin didn't fit right anymore. My whole body was humming. Like I'd touched an electric wire and couldn't let go. I showed the envelope to Holly. She didn't say much, just asked if I was ready to do something about it. I was. First, I contacted a lawyer. Not for divorce. Not yet. But I wanted to know what my rights were if I needed to separate finances, especially if things blew up. I also wanted to know what could legally happen if I went public with what I had. Everything from Trevor's messages to the way the family had treated me. Second, I set up a meeting with someone I never thought I'd talk to again. Mark, Trevor's cousin. He was there at the brunch. I hadn't spoken to him since. But he was the one person who looked uncomfortable when Ashley made that comment. The only one who didn't laugh or look away. We met at a diner. I didn't trust him, but I needed information. He looked nervous when he sat down. You really did it, he said. Ashley's a wreck. She might sue you. She can try, I said. He sipped his coffee, hands shaking. There's more you don't know. That's when he told me. Trevor had been confiding in Jenna for months. Not just about me. About our finances. About our sex life. About my mental health. He made me sound unstable, erratic, controlling. He'd been laying groundwork. Mark thought he was preparing people for something. Like what? I asked. Mark looked around, leaned closer. Honestly, we think he's been seeing someone. For a while. Might be planning to leave you, but spin it like you left him. That was the moment something inside me hardened, like glass that had cooled into shape. He wasn't just spineless. He was plotting. Trying to erase me while I was still standing in the room. I went back to Holly's place and printed everything. Every photo. Every message. Every lie. I wrote out a timeline. I labeled everything. I included my medical records, including my ER visit from the first miscarriage. The therapy notes I'd kept from grief counseling. I wasn't going to destroy him with rage. I was going to destroy him with facts. Then I made one more call. To someone in his life I had never spoken to directly his boss. I asked if we could meet. I told her I had some concerns, both personal and professional. She was hesitant, but agreed to lunch. I brought the envelope. She read everything. Every message where Trevor said he couldn't focus at work because of my drama. Every complaint he made about his crazy wife. Every screenshot where he told people he was ready to move on. When she finished, she looked at me and said, "He told us you were emotionally unstable. He said you'd been having outbursts, that you didn't want him to succeed." I didn't cry. I nodded. She leaned back. "You know we have a zero-tolerance harassment policy, right?" "I do now," I said. After that meeting with Trevor's boss, everything moved fast. He didn't lose his job that day. But HR got involved. They opened an investigation. I wasn't sure what that would lead to, but I knew it shook him. Because the next day, he showed up at Holly's apartment. He didn't knock, just pounded on the door like a cop. "Open up," he yelled. Holly peeked through the window. He looks drunk. I opened the door a crack. Trevor looked awful. Shirt half-buttoned, face red, eyes wild. He pushed the door open and stepped inside before I could stop him. "You told my boss I was abusive," he spat. "I didn't tell her anything that wasn't true," I said. He laughed, loud and bitter. "You're crazy. You've always been crazy. You just wait until people hear what I have to say." Holly stood behind me, phone in her hand. "You need to leave." He turned to her. "Mind your business." Then he looked at me again. "You know what? I should have left you after the first miscarriage. I felt nothing. You think that makes me a monster? Fine. But at least I'm honest now." I think he expected me to cry or scream, but I just nodded. "Thank you." "For what?" he barked. "For saying it out loud. Finally. I didn't press charges. I probably could have." He shoved the door, scared Holly. But I didn't want him to go to jail. That would have been too easy. I wanted something worse. That week I published a blog post. Just the facts. Titled, "When They Say It's Your Fault You Lost the Baby." It was raw. Personal. I left out names, but everyone local knew who it was. I shared screenshots, cropped for privacy, but with enough detail that no one could deny it. I talked about the brunch, the silence, the group chat, the messages from Trevor. Within 48 hours, it had 20,000 shares. Ashley deleted all her social media. The school announced she was no longer employed, effective immediately. Trevor's job didn't fire him, but they demoted him, put him on a probation period, moved him off any client-facing roles. Word got around. He lost his reputation. He was now the man whose wife exposed him online. His mother left the church choir to focus on family. Rumor was donations dropped. People stopped trusting her. But the biggest blow came a month later from someone I didn't expect. Jenna. She messaged me. Long paragraph. Apologizing. Saying she never meant for it to go that far. That she was scared of getting pushed out if she didn't side with Trevor. That she knew it was wrong. Then she dropped the final bomb. Trevor had been planning to divorce me right after the holidays. Said he didn't want to deal with drama during Christmas. Had already been talking to a realtor, looking for places near Kansas City. He was going to leave me and tell everyone it was my fault. So I filed first. And I didn't do it quietly. I served him papers at his office, in front of his coworkers. I included a note that said, "Here's the fresh start you wanted." People gasped. He stood there, stunned. I walked away. I moved into a small apartment near downtown. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. Quiet. Clean. Safe. I stopped going to therapy, not because I was better, but because I didn't need someone to convince me it wasn't my fault anymore. I knew that already. The truth is, I made mistakes. I let things slide. I wanted a family so badly, I ignored the signs. I stayed quiet when I should have screamed. But when I finally opened my mouth, I didn't whisper. I burned it all down. And when the smoke cleared, I breathed again. For the first time in years.